What's up, everybody? Another day, and today I want to talk a little bit about Kassad. So, pretty straightforward. Kassad was the coach of Mouz Sports for the past 3 months. He joined up roughly before the Cologne qualifiers for the major, and he's been with Mouz Sports since, and he's filled different roles on the team. He's been, mainly the coaching role, obviously, but there was a stint where he was the in-game leader, and he's always been a very in-depth kind of coach. Definitely not the cheerleader kind of coach, more the hands-on, trying to figure out how to make the team work, trying to figure out how to solve the problems that this team had, which were many. And he's now been let go. And so there's a statement up on HLTV, or a part of the statement. If you go to the Mouz Sports website, you can find the full statement there. But Kassad makes a statement, and it makes me wonder: is this the first casualty since Valve's ruling on coaches and limiting their ability to interact with the players in game? This has really recently been passed by Valve. There's a video. I've made a video not too long ago about it as well. You can find it on the YouTube. But Valve have limited the involvement of coaches. They can only communicate at certain periods during the and certain timeouts. Basically, you have to take a timeout now if you're a coach to be able to interact with the team. And I wonder if this is the product of that. If the fact that Mouz Sports couldn't quite adapt, perhaps Kassad felt like he couldn't be involved enough, or perhaps the team felt like he couldn't be involved enough, or it's all speculation, right? Because you don't really get a whole lot apart from that from the statement. It's obviously it's the usual statement from Mouz Sports saying that they both parted ways on even terms, and even terms, good terms, right? We're all best buds. Sounds like that's what happened with Mouz Sports on Mouz Sports' side at least. But Kassad in his part of it, there's just there's that one line: "As for my future goes, I am open for offers from all parts of the world, and despite the new rules, I think I can still contribute a lot." And so that's what I wonder if that's why. What comes to me is: was this a result of Valve stepping in and limiting the involvement of coaches? Is this what's going on here? And could Mouz Sports not find a way? Could Mouz Sports not find a way to make that work with Kassad? Because I think that he brought a lot to the team, at least from the point that he joined, and with how much I've been able to interact with him. He has a long history with Yanko as well, YNK, the analyst, the weatherman, very good friends, and obviously with Nico as well. And so there was that bond between Kassad and Nico coming into the roster, coming into the team already. It was Nico who reached out originally to bring Kassad onto the roster. It seems like something has fallen apart here, which is interesting to me because, like I said, right, I felt like Kassad brought a lot to the team, not only on the tactical side. I mean, he did take over in game leading for a little bit, where he took over in game leading, and then it turned into a bit of a 50-50 between him and Nico, and then eventually it went back to Nico calling the shots. I don't know if that's just like on Nico's side, where he wants to be the one calling the shots. He wants to be the one who feels like he's in control of the situation, or what. But eventually, it went back to Nico. But I definitely felt like Kassad brought a lot to the table in the sense that, let's look at the situation, right? He joins up with this team that are clearly struggling, right? They're under a lot of flack because Nico is doing so well on the roster, but it seems like the rest of the team aren't, right? Dennis constantly under pressure, Speedy, Chris J, Nex. Everybody's taking shots on this team, right? And they're clearly struggling because it seems like it's Nico who's coming up with everything and trying to make the calls work and trying to find some kind of system for this team to work in, right? Because the team has been struggling for a long time. They continue to struggle, even with Kassad at the helm. That's a given. It's not like he came in and he was like this hero to rescue everything, right? And he came up with this system that, this is how it's all going to work. And no, they continue to struggle, definitely improved their game and got deeper and went on to have their best result yet, which was the semifinals at E-League. But yeah, why am I blanking on that? It was the semifinals at E-League. Yeah, it was the semifinals at E-League. How am I blanking on that? Let's check the results real quick just to make sure. Would have been too long ago. Going to have to go here. Tournaments. Premier Major. Who knows how this works? Yeah, there we go. This should work. E-League season. No, that's E-League. There we go. E-League season 1. How am I blanking on that? Just total brain meltdown here. Sorry. playoffs. Yeah, it was the semifinals. Yeah, that's right. Because Mouse Sports went on to beat Astralis in the quarters, and then they lost to They lost to VP in the semis. Wow, just lost 30, 45 seconds on that. Sorry about that, guys. Just want to make sure I'm not fibbing to you guys. Make sure I'm not telling you lies. But yeah, it turns out that VP did beat them, and it was a convincing win in the semifinals at E-League. After Mouse Sports looked pretty good against Astralis. So definitely a frustrating sort of scenario. But that was, the best results that Mouse Sports had achieved. And Kassad was there alongside them, right? And I think Kassad was instrumental in trying to get that team up to the level where they could compete with the best, right? Where they could go up against Astralis and win, right? Where they could actually put up a little bit of a fight versus VP. But I think a lot of that had to do with Kassad recognizing perhaps not like what he needed to do on the tactical side, but also really kind of stepping into that cheerleader coach role, which was very interesting, right? Definitely a very hands-on kind of coach who benefits from having that PC, who benefits from being able to look at what's happening in game in front of him, and he's definitely got that back and forth with Nico. But what I think he did is he realized that the team, because they're under so much they were under so much pressure and constantly getting bashed basically at all turns, right? Dennis, et cetera, right? That they were definitely lacking confidence. And it came so close that I think this team almost just unraveled completely, right? At one point where they were like about to throw the towel in and say, right, it's a failed project. Now we're going to start moving on to something else. I mean, it was really dark days, right? And so Kassad comes into this sort of scenario where he's got players who lack confidence in themselves. They don't quite know what they want to do in game. They've got an exceptionally good player who's shining and who's outshining the rest of the team by a fair margin, right? And so he had this complex problem on his hands as far as, how to handle that. And one of the ways that he chose to handle that was definitely at E-League, from what we could see, right, as outsiders. I don't really have too much insight directly into the team. All I know is that there was definitely differences as far as, the players' views on how certain situations needed to be handled, which it comes up in every team. But, with Mouse Sports, because they were experiencing so much difficulty and because of the unique sort of scenario they were in with Nico being just so good, right? And then the rest of the guys, I mean, it's just a really tough sort of scenario where obviously they would have back and forth. There would be quite a few back and forth conversations between the different players, right? Saying this is how we should have done it, this is how we should have done it, and then it goes to a head, and they start, it was tough to kind of like kind of tough to watch, right? You're there and you know what's going on, but at the same time, there's clearly a lot of tension. But it felt like Kassad had recognized, okay, what he needed to do at E-League in that sort of scenario was to actually just get behind his players, and he became that cheerleader coach, right? He became that guy who was getting hype, who was doing a lot of shouting, a lot of patting on the back, a lot of hand slapping, that sort of thing, right? Really trying to get the players up and boosted and pumped up and ready to go whenever something went right. Boom, it's just like, let's go, let's ride that wave as long as we can. Okay, we lose this round, not a problem. We fall back onto what we'd prepared, and they just kept going from there, right? And so for Kassad, I mean, it's not a lie. I think he is definitely one of the better coaches in the scene right now. And what he can bring to the table, I don't think that he should be worried about finding a new home. I think that any team should be interested in actually picking up Kassad, because I do think, as far as tactics are concerned, as far as team play are concerned, health of the roster, I feel like he does bring a lot to the table, and he's just a genuine, all-around, really cool guy. Got to spend quite a bit of time talking with him one-on-one, just getting to know him, and he was just super sick, right? Super cool guy, really chill, easy to hang out with, right? And so it feels like this shouldn't be the end, right? And even if he makes it sound like perhaps there is just that, and because of this Valve ruling, right, how things are breaking down, the fact that perhaps he is going to be limited in what he can bring to the table as far as, his direct involvement in game. I certainly think that he brings enough to the table outside of the game and a work ethic to go with it that he should definitely be considered by any team looking to pick up a coach right now. And they should be jumping on him. And it kind of leaves me wondering why Mouse Sports didn't fight to keep him on, or where it came from, the decision to remove him, or if it was his decision. Perhaps, I mean, that's the thing. This is speculation now, but obviously. But perhaps he was uncomfortable with how things were going since the Valve ruling and his level of involvement. Perhaps there was something else that was going on in the roster that we just won't know about it. unless Kassad himself, or one of the teammates basically come forward and make it public. I think it's just a lot of speculation as far as why he was removed. Don't want to go down the dark path of Mouz Sports, the organization, cutting him because they are probably thinking, well, if he can't be involved up to that level, why do we have this guy? Why don't we just have analysts back home that we don't have to pay a salary to and we don't have to fly to events, and we'll go from there, right? If that's the case, I think that would be a crying shame, a definite loss for the roster. But again, on the outside on this one, definitely don't have that insight on it. I'm just wondering, and it's more of me wanting to just have a quick conversation about Kassad and to say that the guy certainly knows his stuff, and he should be considered for a replacement on any other team basically out there looking for a coach right now. He should be at the top of your list. Now, whether he's willing to move or not, that's another question, entirely up to him. But yeah, just wanted to take a moment real quick to discuss that, and the fact that to me, Kassad's definitely stood out as one of the better coaches in the scene. And keep an eye on him. We'll see. See you guys tomorrow. Take care.